Hello, my name's Edmund and welcome to my video review of They Are Billions. This has been made for Black Widow Company, which is the gaming community which I'm in. This is currently the game that's kind of like all over Steam at the moment, and people are just wondering whether they should buy it or not. People are getting burned by early access stuff. And a few people have got it and they just have no idea how to play it now. I've got a reputation for being good at strategy games. I used to sort of play games. Strategy games obsessively in the past. I actually got my degree in computer games, and they were just sort of like, "Hi Ed, how do I play it?" Because I've beaten it at the hardest difficulties already. So we're going to do a bit of a review, we're going to do a bit of a tutorial at the same time so we can answer all these questions together, and then we're going to discuss some of the problems with the game, etc., and my opinions on where it may go from where it currently is, which is patch 0.5.4 at this time. So, They Are Billions is a game that plays a lot like a cross between Total Annihilation, now there's an old game, and any kind of Warcraft 3, Starcraft mod where you get attacked by waves of enemies and you have a base and you have to survive. There was quite a famous one in Starcraft called Art of Defense, which found its way to Warcraft 3, which found its way to Starcraft 2, so if you've heard of that one, it's very similar to that, but it has the dynamics of Total Annihilation. So what I mean by that is that you get attacked by huge swarms of enemies, and those enemies, they do swarm. So in Total Annihilation, you had like 500,000 units or whatever, and you could just select them all and move them somewhere, and this giant wall of units would move across the map. And this is the same kind of thing, but with zombies. Okay, so we're just going to start a new game, which is pretty much all you can do at the moment. The options are very limited, so we just click the new survival game button and give it a name. I've already put the name of test in here because I was just testing it before. Obviously you can keep multiple games at the same time, however the game has forced Iron Man mode, which means that you cannot save and reload during any of your games, which is pretty horrendous, and we will discuss why that is very shortly, but this is something to keep in mind. You're going to lose, you know, your game can take probably 8 to 12 hours to play, and when you get used to it, the beginning of the game can become very repetitive. So the inability to just sort of say save after the first wave on a map that you quite like and then go back to it and alter your path from that point is pretty irritating and pretty bad, but that's probably the only thing I don't like about this game. Apart from that, it's a very good game. Well, that and the map balance, which I'm about to get to. So anyway, we're going to play a game now. Okay, yeah, there's one not finished, that's fine. So, this is the deceptive part of the game, is that you've got all these difficulty options here, and the problem is that they don't really change the difficulty of the game that much, and I'll explain why. So, you know, the last game I played was completely on brutal on the first map type. Now, the other maps, you have to unlock them by winning each map in turn, but you have to win them with a certain score factor, but the score factor that you require is something like 20%, I think. And you can get a score factor of 20% by adjusting the difficulty options to something like 120 days and low population. But, and here's the thing, I'm going to just for the sake of it, I'm going to put it back on brutal. And 80 days. And we'll do the first wave, and you'll come to see what I mean by these difficulty options really don't affect the game as much as your start does. And this is the real issue with this game, is that the maps that are generated are very random, or you can be put in a situation that is incredibly difficult, even on low difficulty settings, by the map that's been generated. And you can be put into a situation that's very easy, even at the hardest difficulty settings, because of the map generation. So anyway, we're going to press the start game now, and I have no idea what kind of map we're going to get, but I will explain whether this is an easy map or not an easy map based on a few features and such. And so a lot of the reason why people aren't completing this game is because they're playing it, they're getting a bad map, like a really bad map, or even just like a difficult map, and then they're not doing very well. And so maybe they play 2 or 3 games and they lose all of them, and they were doomed from the start, as it were, because the map that they had didn't have those early resources. So when your game starts, you get a view of your command center. Use the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom out. I don't know if there's another key that does it, but it seems to be a mouse wheel thing. I'm pretty sure that everybody has a scroll wheel on their mouse. I would hope so. You start with 4 rangers and a soldier, and you have your command center. So buildings just basically warp in by themselves. So you put them down and they warp in. So the game's paused right now, and I've paused it by pressing space. And you can add buildings by just basically clicking on the ground. So for example, I can add 3 houses, and if I unpause, they'll warp in. And I can cancel them for free as long as the game stays paused. Now, before you build anything, you need to determine whether the map is good or not, because that's going to change how you play this game. So, for example, if I find a lot of gold, then I don't necessarily need to start with building houses, tents, basically. Although building lots of tents is the bigger part of the exponential economy part of this game, you'll find that they're actually not the greatest way to generate gold. There are better ways to generate gold than just spamming tents everywhere. But tents are the only way to get workers, and workers are needed for everything that's not tents. So generally you build them for the workers, and the gold is just a nice to have on top of that. You can make much better gold by building quarries and similar things, wood mining, sawmills, the industrial buildings basically that produce materials, and then using a market to sell them. If you've got those buildings in really efficient places, you can make a lot of money off of them, and it flows in more naturally. It's not part of this meter that counts gold. But nevertheless, you do obviously need a lot of tents and houses. If you can get them, you should, because there's no real negative to having them. Anyway, so what you should do is you should take your 4 rangers and you should just fan them out like this in all directions. And your soldier can guard your base. I would just put him at the top. And then you unpause, and they should all move around like this. Now, I have found a resource cache, and this is the thing about this game, that these resource caches are what adjusts the difficulty of this game dramatically. So because there is 20 wood there, 10 stone, and 500 gold, which is what these pickups will be, I can quite immediately build quite a few tents and like a sawmill and various other things, because I just have the money to do it immediately. So per tick, and a tick is 8 hours in this game, you would gain from the beginning 200 gold, although once you built a few things it'd probably be 190 or something like that. So 500 gold is a massive boost. That's like a whole day's worth of materials, and you get those materials super early. It leads to more materials, which then leads to more materials, which then expands all over the map. So it's an exponential economy game. If you get an incredibly good start and you build a ton of stuff very early, it spirals out of control into a relatively easy victory. Whereas, you know, if you get a bad start, as it were, as in there's not really any good places to put your resource buildings, and there isn't a good stone mining place near your base, maybe there's no gold on the map or whatever, you can really struggle to get going. You can be 3 or 4 days in and not really be anywhere. Whereas, you know, so it is possible, it is very easily possible to have your technology building. The first one is the wood building, the wood workshop. It's very easy to have this building literally in the first couple of hours of playing if you get the right resources. But conversely, it's also very easy to not have this building until day 10 or 11 if you don't have any good access to wood. So anyway, we're going to pick all these up, and there's a limit of 50 of each material, so you don't want to pick up more than you can store. So you see I can get my extra house in here straight away, and I also have enough money left to build a sawmill, which any amount over 10 is good enough. Now, there we go, 12, perfect. Have that. You can move around and look for something a little bit better, but that is totally fine. This area seems to be blocked off, and I have access to water here, so I can build fishing to get early food. Basically, this game builds off farms very quickly, so when you get your wood workshop, which you want to get ASAP, the first thing you want to research is the farm. And then you put a farm down on a bit of land like this, and you end up getting like 80, 70 food, basically. And 70 food is a huge amount, which lets you build like 1 billion tents, and those tents generate gold, generate workers, let you spew out a huge army. So you can get off the ground very quickly if you get that good start. And conversely, you can be stuck in the doldrums for a long time if you get a bad start. So anyway, we're going to carry on exploring around. Just abuse the bollocks off of the spacebar pause feature. There are people out there who do no pause runs and all that kind of thing. If you're really comfortable with the game, you probably don't even need this video to help you anyway. I don't recommend doing a no pause run unless you're very keen on the game. So anyway, I'm going to carry on exploring around. I think this area down here is blocked off. I'm going to check that. Yes, it is. Okay, great. So I can build in there. And look, we found another resource cache, and it's a load of wood and gold, which is perfect. It's exactly what we want. So now I can pick up that gold.
You're gonna pay me for this, right? I hope you're not wasting my time.
And I can use that gold to expand to the water. That looks good to me. So I can expand to the water, and that water is going to provide me with fishing huts, which is going to provide me with the food I need to carry on building huts and tents. And the other thing is now I actually have enough resources to build the wood workshop. As soon as my huts are finished, I will have enough workers to build it. So I've reached a point already where I can build the first technology building within 4 hours of starting. And this is a pretty lucky run. This does not always happen. So anyway, we're gonna carry on.
Here we go again. What? Yes.
I'm not picking up this other wood here. This is blocked off, so that's fine. I'm not going to pick up this this other wood pickup here because I've already got 40, and this will provide 12. So there might be some spillover, which I want to avoid. So I'll just leave that for now. And here's the thing. So these are the zombies here. Look, we're going to zoom in. Okay, the ones near your base are always weak and slow, and what you should do is you should pick them off. But how you want to pick them off is just basically you want to use your rangers to pick them off. So there's a limited number of zombies on the map apart from the waves that spawn. So around day 12 to day 14 the first wave comes and attacks you. But all over the map there are zombies that pre-exist. And you know, this is what I mean by the difficulty levels don't really mean that much, because whether the map is completely infested or whether you have just got a sparse population on the map, it doesn't make the biggest difference. You'll still assemble an army of snipers at some point, you know, 20, 30 of them, and you just need to go around the map and clean them all out, because the final wave summons all of the zombies off the map to attack you, and when they do, you know, if you haven't cleaned them up, then it's going to be impossible to survive. That's the other big mistake that people make. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing the chase button. So what the chase button does is it just basically means that your rangers will just move around the map by themselves and attack zombies, but they won't run away. They'll just find the nearest zombie and attack it. So use the chase button sparingly, but there isn't much risk to using it early on because the zombies are slow. So if you were to gather all 4 of your rangers together and press the chase button, there wouldn't be much risk in them finding a massive group and being killed, apart from on the last map. But if you're on the last map, I'm pretty sure that you already know what you're doing. So here I'm just putting down 2 fishing huts to generate a little bit of extra food, and I don't quite have enough workers to build my first technology building, but I will do very shortly. And so this is what I would call a rapid start. So a rapid start is within the first day, in fact under the first day, and there are faster starts than this, believe me. I have seen starts with like 4 resource caches, and I didn't need to build this range extender Tesla tower to expand my build radius up here to get food. There was like food literally right next to my base, and I could, within the first day, very, very easily have my first technology building and about 8 tents. 8 or 9 or 10 tents, which means I'm generating already 217 gold, and I've been generating something like 250 gold within the first day, literally. And this escalation of resource earning, you know, only seeks to make the game easier.
As long as you pay me. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna put the chase button on and just leave these guys to clean up. But you just gotta micromanage them a little bit. So there's a little entrance down here. I'm gonna have a quick look at what's down here. Nothing exciting. Oh my god, look at this. Look, another cache. So that's 3 of them. So that's huge. I mean, I can't even pick this one up. That's so much money early on. And I'm sure a few people who have played this game and they wanted to learn how to beat it because they've lost so many times or whatever, and that's the reason they're watching this. They're not watching this for a review. Is feeling a bit sick to their stomach right now because this is pretty obscene how lucky I'm being now. Now you see, I'm just building these tents on the flat ground, and that's just because the field is the only place where you can build your farms. The field territory. So I don't want to be in a situation where I'm building all over the field and then I can't put a farm there. And I'm so far ahead of the curve that I'm going to put down a power plant now, because buildings take ages to build. So you might as well build stuff. I can't seem to get that in there. I guess it's a bit thinner than I thought it was. Okay, so I might as well preemptively put down a power plant, because I'm going to need it, and buildings take a while to build, so you want to be preemptively building stuff rather than actually just building, you know, being like, oh, I'm out of power, I'll build a power plant. Oh, now I'm out of workers, I'll build some tents. That's a very slow way to build. Now, the Hunter's Lodge gathers food basically from forests. It can gather some minor amount of food from fields, but save your fields for farms. So I'm just going to dump this Hunter's Lodge down here as well. Because the lodges are cheap, they only cost 1 energy, you should build them everywhere that you can. There's no reason not to. So, I mean, as you can see, we are not even off the first day yet, and I have already expanded to 11 tents already. And that's pretty big, and I still have enough resources left for my my factory, my wood tech upgrade building, which I will get shortly. So I'm going to grab these, I'm going to leave one of the wood boxes because I don't need it, and there's no point in wasting resources I don't need. Now at this point, what you should do is basically there's forced Iron Man in this game, which means that if you make a single mistake, and the infection starts spreading through your colony, it's going to be, in the early game, it's just going to be instantly game over. Now, the number one way that you prevent that is that you have your rangers on chase mode. You see these two rangers that I left up here on chase mode have both been killing zombies non-stop, and they have like 20 and 10% experience between them. You eventually want to clean out the whole map. So you want to get aggressive and just start cleaning out all this crap that's everywhere. And that's fine. But basically the AI is designed in such a way that zombies sort of look for areas where you can't see, and then they wander in and attack your stuff. So most people are like, oh crap, you know, they lose a couple of times and they're like, I need to get walls really early to protect my colony because I don't want to lose it. You really don't need to do that. What you need to do is build towers, because they attract zombies, and then you can put units on top of those towers to pick off any zombies, and they also give great range of sight, so that prevents that sneaky zombie from catching up on your colony. So, you know, I'm so resource rich right now, I can totally get away with it. So the first one I'm going to build is just going to be over here on this corner, because I'm cleaning out to the right. So I've just decided that I'm gonna clean out towards the east. So I might as well block off the west, and the north is walled off, and the south is walled off. So as long as if I'm attacking in these two corridors, then the only other place that the zombies can get in is this corridor here. So if I put one here and stick my ranger on top of it, she can watch that whole area for me.
It could be worse.
And early on, you're not going to face a huge attack. You're just going to face the odd one or two shamblers looking for an easy lunch. And your watchtower gives your soldier or unit that's inside extra range and sight, so you get quite a lot of vision from doing that. Now you see here, these two, you get a mayor when you reach a certain population, and I'm already in day 1 and I'm going to pick my first mayor, and once again this is very random. The mayor bonuses can be everything from amazing to completely garbage. Now these bonuses are not very good. In fact, they're probably, I would say, some of the worst ones, although the wood bonus could be very useful for getting that exponential start. If I hadn't already had such an amazing start, I might go for that. 30 wood is quite good. So I'm going to take the stakes traps because I might as well. But there are bonuses out there that like they expand the energy radius of the command center by like four tiles, which is an amazing bonus right at the start. Or you get extra energy per mil, or your farms do 20% more, or you know, etc, etc. There are some very, very powerful bonuses out there, and there are some very weak ones. Once again, very, very random. So anyway, I'm going to take the stake traps.
Do you need me?
And now I have 18 workers, so I can build my technology building, which is the first most important thing that I need to get. Once you've built this, you can't demolish it or basically do anything with it apart from research technologies, so choose wisely where it's going, because you're not going to be able to remove it after you're done placing it. But I would say that getting things down quickly is way more important than getting them right. So anyway, I'm going to build that there. And you know, once again, I've got a food shortage because I've built a load of houses, but I built this hunter's tent before, so I've preempted my needs. I know that I'm going to need food, because food is, you know, one of the thirsty parts of this game, and so there we go. So it's already getting to be built. I've used all my wood, so what am I going to do? I'm just going to pick up this wood. Put this hunter on chase mode, and this one on chase mode as well. And where is the other one? I brought her home, so that's fine. There she is. So, by the way, you don't have to play like super zoomed out. It can be actually quite difficult to see. And so the building continues.
Attention. Building completed.
There we go. One thing I would say, if you hold down the Alt key, you can see the health bars. There's no way to turn them on permanently at the moment, which is a real shame. But you see this sneaky zombie here, which I just noticed. This is one of these ones that tries to sneak into your base, basically. They just slowly shamble towards your base, and they're looking for a blind spot to get at your tents. Eternal vigilance is really the only way to get rid of them, but the easy way to get rid of them is just to have the watchtower, like I said. So we will pick this one off.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into the watchtower like this. Now, once you have a few watchtowers around, life gets a bit easier. Now, you can, if you want, you know, if you're not totally comfortable and you've had a great start, you can add walls, but they cost a lot, and they really slow down your economy quite dramatically. And there are some people who are like doing a no-wall campaign. They're probably actually making the game easier for themselves, at least early on, because walls really slow down your economy quite a lot, and you don't get much benefit for it. I mean, the tower costs 10 wood and has 800 hit points, so it's pretty robust and doesn't need walls to protect it. Walls cost 3 wood and 10 gold, and have like 400 hit points, so they're slightly more efficient than towers, but they don't give you the sight bonus or the range bonus or any of the, you know, they don't attract zombies like a tower does, which therefore protects the buildings next to it. Anyway, we just need our farms now, really, and we've already got our technology building underway. Now the next thing we need is a soldier center, but that requires stone, and we have not got stone pickups. You know, once again, your path through the game can change based on how, you know, what pickups you've had and how lucky you've been. So 4 stone is the best I can do here, and that seems pretty reasonable to me, so I'm going to plop that down near the tower. I'm just going to leave the ranger in that tower from now on. I'm going to clean up this top area, and I'll probably put another tower down here and block off this bottom area. And you can see that on brutal mode there are massive swarms of zombies around, but it really doesn't matter because their nature doesn't change very much on the map depending on the difficulty level. On the brutal difficulty level there's billions of them, hey, but it's still the slow ones are sort of all around your base, and then there's fast ones further out, and then there's special ones around the edge of the map. That doesn't change depending on the difficulty level, all that changes is the quantity. But when you get a large enough army, at the end of the day you can kill them all before the final wave turns up pretty reliably. And that's all you need to do on any difficulty level. The easiest difficulty levels will be hard if you don't clean out the map. The hardest difficulty levels will be easy if you carefully clean out all the map. So these are the important things to remember. I'm going to just extend my range over here and take this forest. Now, certain buildings can't be built next to each other, but Tesla towers and guard towers can be built next to anything. They don't block. They don't block anything. So it's perfectly fine.
Any infected around?
2 rangers there.
Any orders? Just tell me what to do.
I seem to be missing a ranger. Did she die? I wasn't paying attention and she died. I don't know.
Orders, sir. Do you need me?
It's very difficult to find units as well. So the game irritatingly does not warn you that your units are under attack sometimes if you're looking at them, for example. So I may have lost a ranger there, which is a mistake. But never mind, not a big deal. She will live on in our memories. That's what you get for talking too much. So yeah, we're just waiting for our technology plant to be built, and we just have so much gold early on. So we're going to grab that farm straight away because that's what we need. We need the farm. And you need a lot of wood in this game, so even though I don't need much wood right now, I am going to expand my wood. And just because I'm getting farm technology doesn't mean that I'm not going to take advantage of the nearby forest by putting down a hunter's lodge. Because why wouldn't you? It's free food, effectively. It only costs 1 energy, so I might as well. And we'll probably get another mill shortly, but we need a farm first, and a farm requires 4 workers, so you need to just remember to keep 4 workers around for your inevitable farm.
Is everything okay?
You see here I've got -1 food, and the reason why that's happened is because I've built on the field here, and this hut is gathering food from some of the field. It mostly gathers from the forest, so it doesn't impact it too much, but it has impacted it a little bit. But at the end of the day, you know, you're limited on space at the start. I want to expand up here to the north because it's just a nice open area, so why not? And it's all completely sealed off. I can put a watchtower here and watch both of these entrances pretty easily and just build all up there, so that's where I'm going to go. Just as soon as I can. I obviously need another range tower, if you will, Tesla tower. So my technology is nearly done.
Do you need me?
We're not even off the second day, and I'm pretty much assured that this base is probably looking better than a lot of people's day 10, because we've just had such a nice start, basically.
You are gonna pay me for this, right?
Oh, she's under attack. And I think I've actually lost another ranger here from not paying attention. Not the best, but it doesn't really matter because the start has just been so good that it really hasn't affected anything. Okay, so now I can build a farm, yeah. And the farm, I mean, look at this, 64 food. It's pretty silly. So yeah, plop that down. Soon I'll have 64 food. Then I can build a ton of tents in this corner. Anyway, next thing I need is my soldier center, which requires 8 workers. I only have 7 at the moment because I built a couple of extra Tesla towers, but whatever, that's not a big deal. And the building placement with tents can be quite wonky, so I can't build one here because I'm blocking the free access of another building. And sometimes this blocking the free access of another building thing can be very, very odd. So you'll want to experiment a bit with where you can and cannot place things. Now in this case it was pretty obvious because it would just be pinned in the corner, but sometimes it can be very finicky about where it decides to let you build. So in this case I want to build one here and leave a gap either side, right? So in that case I'm just going to build here, here and here because I'm thinking in advance. So I'm down to 3 soldiers, that's all I really need. This is one of these sneaky shamblers here, but my tower is going to detect it, and the ranger inside is going to deal with it, and that's going to be that. So this guy is going to get wrecked. There we go. Game over. Okay, so this farm takes absolutely forever to build, which is, you know, another thing about how the exponential economy in this game can result in some very, very quick starts and some very, very weak ones. So your soldiering center, I recommend that you put it somewhere central so you can respond quickly. Now that said, I've kind of built everywhere and not really left myself any space in the center because I've just had such an amazing beginning. I mean, even here just seems reasonable enough. Down here is going to block the farmland, which I probably will want. Oh, here we go. This is ideal. So you can't really build many things next to the oil pool anyway, so why not just put it right here? Although I will block where I was going to put an extra house. So maybe here would just be perfect. Or just one more to the side. There we go. That'll be ideal. I don't want to block movement around my base either, so this will be ideal. So we'll put it here. And now that we're happy with this side of the base, we will also add a tower. And the simple thing about the tower is, if a runner zombie was to come along and just run at this, if a zombie hits a building that's building, and it's not a wall or a tower, it will instantly explode into infected zombies for some reason. So even though it's not finished, and that means that you could very quickly get a cascading failure going. So when you start building on the edge of your base like this, you do actually want to build a tower. And then what a lot of the top players do, so I'm told, is that they build a load of soldiers and just go cleaning with them. Now, the thing is, soldiers make a lot of noise, and noise attracts zombies, and you can end up in a situation where too many zombies start attacking at once and you can't hold them off because there's too many of them. Now in this case, you see a few have been attracted by the noise, but nothing exciting, and they're going for the tower because the tower attracts zombies. Now in this case I've built this mining here that's probably a little bit too close to the front line, but whatever. The guy is going to get picked off in time, and that's what I mean. Like, I was looking at this area in particular earlier as a bit of a weakness. You can build walls diagonally, so you know I can just put one like this, and at this point I mean it's still a lot of resources to put down walls, but you know you can do now without damaging your economy too badly. So my farm is up, so I am gonna make more tents. Yeah.
Attention, building completed.
And I think this iron is not like great, but you don't actually need much iron, so why do you care? Let's put one down just to be safe. And yeah, this is a pretty basic base. That you can see more zombies have been attracted by this tower. Oh! Ah, nearly got caught by the snake. He went under this area and around because he detected that there was no sight there. The AI in this is pretty clever, so you really have to pay attention and toggle your tab key to look for these little gits. You know, this area here is probably an area where I would actually want to have another tower a little bit further down, just to cover the whole area, and likewise here, like another one a little bit further up. And you can just keep these towers because you're gonna expand quite a lot early on, so big thick walls and secure areas are not really hugely required, but you will need troops. So speaking of troops, you can build rangers, which are quiet and generally not great, but they're cheap and they don't use food. That's their main advantages. They've got good sight and good speed. Soldiers are much better, but they require iron, and they also require food, which slows down your expansion. But our expansion has been so incredibly quick that honestly we can take a bit of slowdown, and it's not gonna matter one tiny bit. I'm gonna increase my power a bit, and I should have built that power plant earlier because I should have been paying attention to the fact that I was running low on power instead of reactively building. But I'm talking at the same time as trying to play, so these kind of things will happen, and I need to expand the tower range to cover this area, obviously, because I can't build here. So I'm gonna put one there. There we go. And this is it. This is the game. And then what will happen is on the 12th, 14th day, a wave of zombies will turn up, and we'll be given a direction from which they will be coming. So they'll be like, oh, they are approaching from the east, or from the west, or from the north. And the directions are incredibly vague and sometimes not even that good. So you can you can get into trouble if you're expecting them to be exactly where they say they're going to be, because they might not be exactly where they say they're going to be. And another little tip is I would just keep on expanding my food all the time, no matter what, because food is the limiting factor in this game for a long time, food and gold. But you want to convert food into tents, and then tents convert that into gold for you. So here we go once again. I can build a load of tents here. Now, the power plant has to have a very wide space between it and other ones of the same type. So whenever you have an opportunity to build a power plant, you probably should towards the later parts of the game. So I could build a big row of houses here and that would be fine. But you see, look, once I reach here, I can't build another one because this one is too close. So I recommend that you just build power plants in corners and everywhere that you can, so that you don't put yourself in a position where you don't have any power. And this part could just be sealed off now. You know, I could, if I wanted to, just build a wall here and seal this off, but there's no need. I've got a tower, and the tower will attract the attention. And it's just a bit of vigilance as well, look. See, another zombie has just snuck in and I didn't notice him. Because I can't have the bars on all the time, which is, you know, a feature which I would quite like. Now, a start like this is great. And from here, I could try all kinds of things if I was allowed to save, but I'm not allowed to save. Because this game has forced Iron Man. And it can take a very long time to play a full game. Which means that one mistake can set you right back to the beginning. Or maybe not even a mistake, but a glitch or a bug. And that's going to get really old really fast for most people. And that's the one thing about this game which is really not good. But it is early access, it may change. I've seen 1,000 like forum threads in the Steam forums like, bring back optional Iron Man. Hell, I even made one myself because I feel like it's actually the weakest part of this game is that there is no optional there's no tick box for Iron Man. You can't save and load, and it's very annoying because, you know, no one's gonna save scum in this game. So you know, save scumming is that old school D&D thing, or roguelike game kind of thing where you're playing a game and you attack an enemy and you roll the dice and you need a critical hit or whatever to survive, otherwise you're going to lose, and you don't get a critical hit. So then what you do is you saved before the roll and you load that roll and you roll again and you roll again until you get your critical hit. That's save scumming. And this game, obviously, you can't save scum. There's no, apart from the maps and the mayors, which are completely random. I suppose you could save scum those. Everything else is just you building up your economy as quickly as possible. And you can't really scum your way around that. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the big deal is with allowing people to have save and load. But anyway, the developers have seen fit not to include it at this time, and that is definitely one of the low points of this game, which is definitely going to put off, I think, a lot of casual players. Which is a shame, because it's a really fun game. Once you get into it, it's very enjoyable. But that aspect of it is going to be very, very off-putting for some. So, anyway, moving on. The next thing that you want is a market, and you want that market ASAP as well. Now, the market requires a population of 200 to build. So, in order to get that population of 200, you need to build a lot of houses. And so you are once again back on the ball of building. Expand. Take all these fishing huts all around this lake, everywhere you can put them, etc, etc, etc. But I have my soldiering center now, so as soon as my first tick of iron comes in, which if you see here on the quarry, it has its own progress bar, just like on the command center that shows when your next batch of money is going to turn up. I can start pumping out soldiers. About 10 soldiers will handle the first wave pretty easily, and the ball can go around and clean out large portions of the map that don't involve the high-end enemies that tend to congregate around this last sort of open inch of the map. But you can clean out all the inner parts of the map, which you should do. You should be making regular presses out into the wilderness to clean out the map. So, by the way, you get these little citizens wandering around that sometimes they end up in strange places and they look like zombies, which is thoroughly unhelpful. So my first soldier is ready, and I'm going to take him up here and put a tower around here, because I am going to build more tents. We will never be past tents in this game. Ah! I apologize. I'm known for my bad jokes. You will just have to endure them with me.
Commander?
So I'm just plopping them down. Probably get a power plant here as well. Yeah, I will. So I'm going to get a power plant here as well, and I can definitely get some food out of that forest. So I'm going to take it. I will take anything I can get my dirty hands on. So I need more gold for another soldier. 240. But, you know, I'm already earning 340, which is pretty good for friggin' day 7. Jesus. We're on like Donkey Kong. Once again, just gonna build another range tower. Just expand out, expand out, expand out. It's important to put down range towers when you have the opportunity to do so, and you know, you've got the resources, because you don't find yourself in a situation where you don't have the resources to expand and you need to build to actually unblock yourself. So what I mean by that is a range tower, you know, does have a requirement of a worker, and so if you have nowhere to build tents and you need to expand your range to build tents but you haven't got any workers, then you can't expand your range and you get stuck, and you don't want to get stuck. That's bad news. So then you're going to have to unstick yourself, and that is going to be a disaster. So let's get this soldier up here. And I'm just going to block these two corridors basically with towers. So this area is going to belong to me, and I'm going to block it with towers. I don't really believe in patrol. Patrol is not very useful in this game. It's better to just have static defense. So here we go. I'll plop down a tower here, and I'll build a range tower, and I will plop one down at the top area as well. And then I will have towers everywhere. And what towers allow you to do is, so typically I only have one guy in each tower. So that's my basic tower with one bloke in it that defends. But when the horde turns up on day 12 to 14, then I can very rapidly reposition my units to deal with the horde by just sticking them in the towers. And the towers will hold, even though I'm on the hardest difficulty, which is brutally brutal. That should be the real name of it. Instead of brutal, it should just be brutally brutal. You know, even though I'm on that brutal difficulty, it's not going to be difficult to hold that wave off with just a few soldiers. Maybe 4 or 5 would be plenty. Especially if they've got veterancy. Units gain, like many games, units gain experience with combat, which is another reason why you should be out there cleaning out the map. And that experience means that they will just perform that much better, and they're almost like different units, to be frank. So I'm going to plop this farm down, and in the future I'll plop another farm down there. Just to continue to expand my population so I can get a market. Now, one thing you can be tempted to do is to research the cottage and upgrade your tents, which means that you can pack more people into the same space. One of the big weaknesses of people who play this game is that they do precisely that, and it's actually not very efficient. The upgraded buildings cost more to maintain and more to build compared with just spamming the basic ones. So for example, you know, a cottage is equivalent to 2 tents, and it's a bit more heavily armored, but it costs an additional 1 energy, and it costs additional wood and money, and oh shit, look, I've got a breach. Bad times. And that's happened because I moved the archer from here to here, and so one of them snuck through the bottom because I was talking too much. Now, if you get a breach early on in this game, it can be basically impossible to recover from it. That's the bottom line. Because what happens is every building in the entire game spawns whatever its worker content is. It spawns them in zombies when it gets attacked, and that's usually plenty to end you. Now I have a lot of soldiers, so I may actually be able to survive, maybe, but probably not. Is there a banshee there? No, but there is an executive, so that's probably the problem. So, you know, the towers can handle quite a lot of zombies, but as you can see here, these guys are trapped now because I've mismicroed them. So my base is going to get wiped out now, despite my amazing start. But that's largely just because I've been talking the whole game and not really paying attention, which is not the best. But yeah, I could have just sealed this off for the wall or whatever, and that would have been fine. The real tests in the game actually come when the waves turn up and attack you, rather than the sneak zombie. The sneak zombies just lead to wipeouts in the early game. And here's the thing. In this game, you can't afford to not play aggressively, to not expand aggressively, because you'll lose in the late game. You'll spend 6 or 7 or 8 hours playing, 10 hours playing, and you'll get to the end game and you won't have enough money, you won't have enough defenses, you won't have expanded enough, you won't have cleaned out the entire map, and you'll just lose. So you have to very, very carefully micromanage your beginning. Very carefully micromanage it, especially since the AI is designed to look for holes in your defense and to get in. And that's the thing. This is where this game really falls down, is that because of the forced Iron Man mode, the very tedious beginning of the game, which is honestly not difficult. I mean, I'm sat here and I lost, but I've beaten this game on the hardest difficulties very, very easily and reliably in the past. The beginning of the game, you spend, you know, a lot of time pausing and very carefully micromanaging. Or there are people out there who play no pause, but obviously they're like you know, those StarCraft Korean pros out there who can micromanage 10 things at once, and they're looking around all their base all the time. You know, 400 APM dudes. I mean, you can do that, and that's great and everything. But it gets very old very fast. This game, because of the forced Iron Man, gets very boring very quickly. And after you've played, I would say, you know, after you've played for a week, you find yourself dreading the beginning of the game, and you just can't be bothered, and that leads you to not play it. Now, apparently there's going to be a campaign and other game modes and all that kind of thing. So there's going to be more content to this game, so take from that as you will. But as it stands right now, this is the whole game, is just this. So yeah, that's it really. You get 4 maps with different themes. That one is, you know, that there's lots of cliffs. The other ones have got things like lots of villages of death, which I'll show you quickly because we never saw one. There's an ice one which just has very little food, which is probably one of the harder ones, but the zombies are slower, so it's give and take. And the last one is one where noise is amplified, so if you kill one zombie, like, you end up aggroing half the map. So if you haven't got your 10 to 15 soldiers, if you're not ready, you can find yourself dead super, super quickly. And that's just more irritating than anything else. So I'm not even going to pause. We're just going to have a look around, basically, to see what the start is like. And you see, look, this is a good start already. I've found a cache. I seem to be getting quite lucky today. Okay, there's a horde there, which is pretty close to my base. I'm even going to use the soldier to scout.
What's up? Any infected around?
There we go, a Village of Doom. So that's a Village of Doom. And if you attack it, like I did just there, it spawns a load of zombies. And if you kill it, you get a lot of resources, but generally speaking, what it does is it spawns and spawns and spawns and spawns loads of zombies. Now, even though I attacked it and it spawned a load of zombies, those zombies are not actually going to race over here and kill me, despite what people think. Village of Dooms get triggered forever when the amount of noise that you've generated reaches out from your command center and touches the building. And that's like some sort of score that's calculated based on the amount of shots that have been fired and how many buildings you've built and all that kind of stuff. The noise attracts zombies, and it's a ring that grows out invisibly across the whole map. So it won't be permanently triggered by the fact that I shot it a few times with arrows, although it will have spawned extra zombies because of that. But, you know, once again, I mean, this start is alright. I found one cache. Oh look, there's another cache up there. You know, some maps have not got any caches. Some maps, you can be sealed in and have a village of doom where your one exit is, and you're just bollocksed. You can't get out or do anything. You're stuck. And so, yeah, the other main weakness of this game is that because the maps are so random and so procedural, you can get an incredibly easy map and you can get an incredibly difficult one. And, yeah, it's gonna suck. So I could load another game and just show you a zombie wave, but it's nothing super exciting. I mean, it's a great fun game. You get, like, you know, some music plays, and it's like the zombies are approaching from the west, and a big horde will come up and wash against your defenses. But the early waves are not that dangerous. You know, 4 or 5, 6 soldiers will deal with it pretty handedly, even on brutal difficulty. And that's it. That's They Are Billions. It's a very, very fun game. Just some basic issues that need to be panned out, and almost, I would say, an elitist design philosophy at the moment, in terms of, like, it's very unforgiving, and it's been designed to be unforgiving, but unfortunately, because the difficulty revolves around, you know, what map you got, what beginning you had, it's not really, you know, it's not a game about player skill as much as it is about player luck, and that's a bit unfortunate. But you'll have a great time playing it. It certainly feels quite an accomplishment to win a map for the first time, but once you understand the game and you get it into your head and you expand really aggressively and you get away with it, and you get your walls up by day sort of 10, 12, and you've got all that, you know, 200 population before day 10, and you got your market and everything before the first wave even turns up, and the first wave is only like 10 or 12 zombies, even on the hardest difficulty. You're gonna find from that point that if you keep up the aggression, it's gonna be a very easy ride to the end of the game. And that's just what you got to get into your head, is to clean out the whole map, take the whole map, kill everything on the map. And by day 40, by day 50, you can have a team of 30 snipers just go around the map, kill everything, and have the map completely empty. And then all you've got to worry about is when the waves turn up. And obviously the final attack. So anyway, that's a brief review and introduction to They Are Billions. It's definitely a good solid 7 or 8 out of 10 game. It could do with some love, especially for casual players, especially for new players. There's no tutorial or anything, but that's what this video is for. Is it worth a purchase? Yeah, I think it is. It's pretty well polished. I haven't encountered any serious bugs or anything, apart from the odd zombie walking through walls, and that can lead to disaster. Once again, no save and reload system makes that pretty difficult to swallow, especially if you've spent 3 or 4 hours getting kicked off at the beginning. So yeah, that is what it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review and tutorial, and I hope this brings you some success. I have finished the game at the hardest difficulties on every map, so the strategies do work. Just be advised that on the 4th map you need to be just that little bit more conservative, because you don't want to attract a massive horde that you can't handle too early. But you know, expand aggressively and you can very quickly just take over the whole map and run away economically with the game, if you get the right map. And that really is the takeaway, if you get the right map. Right, I'll catch you guys later.